Hi, and welcome to episode 1 of the Born to Persevere podcast. I'm your host, Jessica. I am a micropemia survivor, a cancer survivor, and a multiple sclerosis thriver. Today is May 1st, and May is Mental Health Awareness Month. I thought during May because for 20, 30 something years I had horrendous mental health, and I wasn't aware of how not okay I was. And then one man with one sentence would change my entire life. He would change my entire consciousness. He would change my entire metacognition. He would essentially give me self awareness. And I just want to share that story because it was one average human being, one man, that gave me this wonderful gift. And I want to share more about what happened in 2023. So let's do a little backstory. Let's set the scene. It's April of 2022. I am working on pursuing getting my second master's degree, an MBA. I am taking a class on emotional intelligence and leadership, writing papers, getting A's in the papers, not really thinking much of it. And end of April, I matched with this man on a dating app. We agreed to go on a date on, ironically enough, May 1st of 2022. What I thought would be like an hour, 2 hour date, maybe 3 hour date max top. It ended up being an 8 hour date. Needless to say, we spent the next couple of weeks together getting to know each other, dating, talking, and he would tell me the sentence that would eventually change my entire consciousness. He told me it was good I was self aware and made conscious decisions. Now, it would take me 7 months to understand what he meant and become aware of what he meant. I never asked him though. I had ample opportunity to ask him what he meant, and I never did. I would just think about it. I would just think about that sentence all the time. And when our relationship ended in 2022, end of December, I was really upset. I was really hurt by it. But I understood from like his perspective why it needed to end. I was just upset that another relationship didn't work out. So it's January of 2023. I'm really upset that this relationship didn't work out. But I just kept thinking of this sentence over and over again. So I typed it into the internet and, looked it up, and I found different articles and websites. And then I stumbled upon this particular website and article that listed a bunch of reasons why you wouldn't be self-aware. It talked about not trusting intuition, not seeing manipulation, not seeing a healthy relationship, being afraid of commitment, not compromising, not valuing yourself. And then I had 20 to 30 years of memories come flooding to my mind with all these different scenarios, and that's what the scenarios were. A scenario of not trusting my intuition, scenarios of not seeing manipulation, scenarios of not valuing myself, scenarios of not seeing a healthy relationship, and it was a lot. A few days later, maybe a week later, I wake up with what would be multiple sclerosis symptoms. In March, I meet with a neurologist. I get officially diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. And throughout the first appointment with the meeting and getting the official diagnosis, probably a quarter of the appointment, maybe a third or a half of it, was her trying to convince me I didn't cause this. Because a month and a half, 2 months ago, I just read, lack of self-awareness, not caring about what you eat, not caring about your sleep, all these different things. And so I was convinced that all of those things caused this. Obviously, it didn't, but I was convinced at that point in my time that I caused this. Fast forward to end of April, I have a follow-up MRI, and there's an incidental finding on the MRI of a nodule and a lesion, and I'm supposed to start MS treatment. I started the MS treatment without confirming I had cancer, and then in end of July, I get the call from the doctor that I officially have thyroid cancer. And when he calls me, he says, well, good news, you don't have an autoimmune disease, but bad news, you have cancer. But good news, it's the best type of cancer to have. Well, spoiler alert, this would not be the best type of cancer to have. I would get cut open 3 times. So fast forward, it's now, 2 weeks into August, and I'm more focused on this self-awareness, consciousness, metacognition thing than I am about my physical health. I am more upset about my brain and my mental health than I am about my physical health. And I started looking at self-awareness and executive functioning skills, and I was looking up the word executive functioning skills and what that meant, and I found an infographic of all these different executive functioning skills: organization, time management, planning and prioritizing, self-monitoring, switching focus, changing, adjusting behavior to unexpected changes. Just all these different things that your brain does. And I got really upset because I was like, this has been my problem, is I don't have executive functioning skills. And I texted the man that, essentially gave me self-awareness, because he knew about the MS and cancer at this point, because I had told him. And he came over to see me. He sat on the couch with me while I cried for an hour or two about not having executive functioning skills, thinking that all this is karma because I used to be engaged and I couldn't plan my wedding. And I was like, I have karma because I didn't get married, and karma because of this, and karma because of that. And he proceeded to console me and let me cry and be upset about all of this, because this was a lot. And then, he left and I went to bed or whatever. A month or so goes by and I'm sitting in the doctor's office doing the prelim stuff for my cancer surgery. And they tell me, okay, a week before surgery, you have to cold turkey your medications. I'm like, okay. So a week before surgery comes, I cold turkey my medications. And then about 5 business days, or 5 days, about 3 business days before I'm supposed to have surgery, I get a call from the surgeon that my surgery has to be canceled and moved because they're out of the country on vacation. I was like, what do you mean you're out of the country on vacation? Your scheduler scheduled my surgery for this date. And, well, they're not in the country, so I couldn't have surgery. I canceled any more surgeries or anything at this hospital. And I called a different hospital. I called the best hospital in the state, my perspective. And I left a voicemail and I was like, this is my name. I have this thyroid cancer. I was supposed to have surgery, but this surgeon from this hospital is out of the country on vacation. Can you guys help me? And can I be a patient? The secretary or nurse, whoever, calls people back, called me back and said, yes, we can take you. We can get you in. But did you used to live at such and such an address? And I started crying because this particular hospital is the hospital I was at when I was a micropreemie and was in the NICU for 4 months. That essentially saved my life, and is why I'm here today, is because of this hospital. And I was like, yes, but, we gotta update my address. I no longer live there, but yes, I'm the same person. And so they took me in this hospital, and this surgeon would go on to be my favorite doctor, and we would have surgery every year for the next 3 years because my cancer would keep coming back. But that's a different episode for a different day. And then fast forward, it's October, we have surgery. My thyroid gets removed. November comes, and I get a call saying the pathologist reports came in, and I had a thyroid autoimmune disease, antibody type of thing. I don't really know kind of exactly what it is because my thyroid's removed, but it still comes up positive or something. I don't know, I'm not a doctor, but something like that. So that was upsetting because a few months prior I got told I didn't have an autoimmune disease, I just had cancer. So I processed all that, and then December comes and I have an MRI for the MS, and I'm supposed to be meeting with the surgeon to just, double check, go over everything, have a follow-up ultrasound type of thing. and I see in my MRI test results that I still have a nodule and a lesion in my like clavicle bone chest type of area. And I was like, I still have cancer. So then it was like a few days before I was seeing my surgeon. So I walked into my surgeon's office. I was like, I think I still have cancer. She ultrasounded me and said, yep, I see the spot. I'll have to give you surgery. I was like, okay. So we still have cancer. This was great. Great ending to 2023. And then on Christmas Day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, I get COVID. And so now my surgery has to be postponed even further because I have COVID. I have to wait. And so that was the ending of my 2023. That's a brief synopsis of all that happened in 2023. And if it wasn't for that one man with that one sentence who was just being his regular self, he's nothing like special. He's not a therapist. He's not a psychologist. He's just a human being who knew some vocabulary words, and he just happened to say them to me in like a literal way, and said like, you're this, and it altered my entire life. And I don't know where I'd be if it wasn't for him. I don't know how I'd be making the medical decisions I made. I don't know where I'd be now if he didn't do what he did 3-4 years ago. In 2026, I am the happiest, healthiest person I've ever been. I'm much more conscious and self-aware, and I have a fabulous life, and it's truly all because of him. And I guess the moral of my story is be kind, be yourself. You never know the impact you'll have on someone and how your sentence, your perspective, your vocabulary, terminology, words, whatever you say to someone, however you articulate things, could change and affect someone's life for the better. Because this is what happened to me. He was just an average man, mechanic, had an associates in business. He wasn't some therapist or anything. He was just a man who said a sentence to me that altered and changed my entire brain chemistry and awareness. And for that, I am forever grateful. I was able to make competent medical decisions. I was able to make competent decisions over the last 3 years about my life and well-being. I have a fabulous relationship right now, and it's all because of this man. And I just want to say and share that be kind and be yourself, because it could change and impact someone's life in ways that you could never imagine, and that to you may not be a big deal, but to them it could be life altering. So just be kind, be yourself, because the world needs you. Thank you, and tune in next week for next week's episode.